Hey everybody, welcome to our monthly community Zoom call. It is February 12th, and we are going to be talking today about essentially self-limiting beliefs, things that kind of stand in our way, self-doubt, shedding who we used to be in this pursuit of becoming an enhanced version of ourselves. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about today. Before we dive into that, it's been a month or so. A lot of things have happened in the last month. Obviously, the new year, just all the stuff. We just had the Super Bowl and the Chiefs let us down, but we can't complain too much. I mean, making it to the Super Bowl 4 out of 5 years, we can't be too angry about it. But it was a pitiful turnout for it. But hopefully everybody is locked in. I sent out a text today to a lot of people just saying that Super Bowl's passed. I mean, one thing I forgot to include into that was Valentine's Day is coming up in a few days. But outside of Valentine's Day, the next few months are really some of the best months to get after it. Before travel starts, before the pool's open, before summertime gets here, because that's when you're going to want to be thriving. And if you wait to start then you're kind of behind the eight ball, then you're just playing catch up. So the next handful of months are really going to be when you can make a lot of progress for the rest of the year. But before we dive into the topic and such, Renee, how you've been the last month?
Good. Doing good. February, as usual, is flying by, whereas January was 5,009 years long.
Okay.
Um, but I've switched up my workout routine since last, which is cool. I'm apparently deciding to kill myself in the gym because I added in 2 core days and another leg day, well, half of a leg day. So I'm now doing 3 leg glute days a week
Nice.
and 2 core days and then uh like 2 upper body.
Cool.
So stepping up my game on my workouts and my
Are you
creatine.
feeling recovered enough to do the 3 leg days a week? Like you don't feel too wrecked?
So that's where I'm testing this out to see
Yeah.
one of the days. So I have leg day one and leg day two on Wednesday and Saturday, but Monday is back and glutes. So it's like two
Oh,
and a
okay. Okay, I got you. I got you. Just a little
half.
bit focus on the
Yeah, so I have back and glutes,
yeah.
and then I've started working in my core, like in my lift that I've created instead of like just randomly doing
Before
it.
or after. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so now I've decided it's even better if I do core before my lift because after my lift, I'm like, yeah, I had a great workout. I
Mhm.
don't need to do core. So
Yeah,
now if I'm doing it at
yeah,
the beginning,
yeah.
that's helping.
And it's a
Um,
good just kind of full body warm up depending on what it is you're doing for core. Kind of it
exactly.
gets your core activated and warmed up before you go do anything else. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And then I think I'm starting to cut a little bit again.
Okay.
I just want to see, I think I'm in a mood where I'm like, I want to see how like much I can push.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
yeah, that's awesome. That's
Um,
exciting. Again,
so
good season of the year to do it before
it's a
some
good, yeah, it's a good season of the year to
the
do it.
summer
I don't
crazy
have
gets
much
here.
going on
Mm,
after, I mean, and so
yeah,
yeah, it is fun though, and to see, but I think sleep will be, I'll have to really focus on sleep to be lifting 5 days a week again. I haven't
yeah,
lifted 5 days a week and
yeah,
like intentionally with
yeah. Of
hard workouts
course.
in a little while because I went down to like 4 lifts
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah. Well, good luck with it. It's
So
nice to have a all the social occasions and shit behind you for a little bit. Not that you're not going to have any, but
yeah.
obviously just the bulk of it is all kind of behind us for at least the next handful of months. And it's always just nice to be on a new plan and something to be excited about. That rejuvenation is always fun.
Yeah, it is fun. So yeah, that's kind of me.
That's
Um,
awesome. Well, I forgot to
what about
tell you.
you?
I
Oh,
forgot to show you this. I boss, I don't know if you can see it, partially tore my bicep. You see that bruising that goes all the way up my forearm?
yeah.
Yeah, that's a bruise. It was crazy dark purple for the last week. He did that on like Tuesday or Wednesday, or I guess Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. So it was 2 weeks ago at this point, is when he did it. It was like one of the first nice days, and the snow had all melted and the ice all melted. So I took him on a walk. He had the zoomies, so we went out in the backyard. Lola was walking around, and he was just running sprints around the backyard. And he was getting really close to running into her. And I mean, he's 110 pounds with a 30-pound head. Like he's gonna kill her if he runs into her full tilt. He wasn't doing it to obviously do that. He was just was being crazy outside. And Lola was loving it, laughing, having a good time. And I went to stop him when it looked like he was going to be too close to her. And when I stopped him, it was like a one arm tackle, and I stopped him in his tracks, but at the cost of my bicep. I thought that when I took off my hoodie, it was going to be just like in my elbow, like my entire bicep. But I think it's just a partial small tear, not of the bicep tendon,
Dang.
a different tendon in there. But so right now, those of you who have struggles, if you have injuries, shit can still be done. If you can't work out, you stuff can still be done. And that's not to say I can't work out. I can't do upper body right now because even pushing movements, anything of that nature is only going to strain it further, increase the risk of an actual full tear, and just take longer to actually heal the area. So kind of like you, Renee, I'm doing about 3 leg workouts a week at this point. My volume is down on it, so I'm not doing crazy hour and 30-minute long leg workouts 3 times a week. Volume's down, so really picking about 3 exercises each of those 3 days just to get after um, 3 or 4 exercises or so. So yeah, just pivoting. And this is when you can't work out how you need to. Like we don't lose muscle mass that fast. And even when we do lose muscle mass, it comes back quick. Muscle memory is a real thing. Your body adapts back to that pretty quick. And so it's just a matter of if I keep nutrition on point, keep sleep on point, keep doing what I can core wise and leg wise, I'm not going to lose much. And then I'm just praying that I can get past this in hopefully about 4 to 5 weeks both so I can get to lifting and so that once the golf season starts, I can actually get out there and
Oh
swing a
yeah.
little bit. But yeah, so that was depressing. The only thing that really depressed me in life is that type of thing when I'm injured and I can't do what I want to do. Fortunately, being upper body, I can still go on a run, I can still go on a hike, I can still do leg workout, so it's not all bad. But that the first 48 hours, I was in a deep hole of depression. So that was
When
definitely
was this?
2 weeks ago. So like 2 weeks ago from the date. So yeah.
Dang.
Yeah,
You
tough,
didn't
tough
tell me.
times. Yeah, yeah, haven't posted about it, didn't say anything about it. It wasn't needed to be talked about, but anyway. Um, but let's get into the topic of the night. My bicep will be fine. All will be well. Like I said, I think it's a good thing for people to be able to hear as well as like when you get injured or when shit's just in your way, what can you still control? Workouts might not be happening, but you can always control nutrition to some point. So anytime, good weeks, bad weeks, especially the hardest weeks, you got to take account of what can be controlled today, what can I still execute, even if I can't do the rest of it. And that continuity is what gets you through those tough times without just digging a hole and feel like you're constantly starting over. By the end of this bicep situation, I'm not going to feel like I'm starting over. It's just an obstacle in the journey that I was able to overcome, that I was able to maintain continuity and just pick up right where I left off once I get on the other side of it. But anyway, though, so today's topic, we are talking about overcoming self-doubt. Um, so I'm gonna kind of just talk at you guys here for a little bit. Some of this came from a post that I made a couple days ago on social media, so you might recognize it if you saw any of that stuff. But let's kind of dive into what I personally believe is one of the biggest obstacles for people to overcome. Doing this as long as I have, what I've noticed is that it's never just about the X's and O's of nutrition and workouts. There's so much of life that's happened before you join Thriving Lives and that has impacted your relationship with yourself and your belief in yourself, that's impacted your relationship with food, health, supplements, exercise, all that stuff, right? And if the older you are, the more years you have of baggage, good or bad, that have come with it. And obviously, if you're here, then you have some things that you're going to uncover along the way. And if you're new into this, you're probably already kind of realizing what you're uncovering whenever you complete Renee and I as a questionnaire. Part of that is so you can start kind of uncovering these things before we even get into working together, and then keep working on those things as we go. So let me just start by saying, maybe you grew up without healthy role models. Maybe, you've been dealt a tough hand in life, with some health situations that you had no control over, whether you're born with it or an accident happened, you've been dealt kind of a shitty hand. Maybe you started this journey over and over again and you've continued to fail throughout the years, which again, it's very, very common to see somebody who struggled with this stuff, and being consistent for decades. And so it's my Renee's, objective to help you overcome that. But so, like I said before, one of the biggest challenges in making lasting, truly lasting lifestyle changes, whether it's nutrition or physical activity or managing stress or just healthier habits in general, is shedding the identity of who you've always been. Some people,
I think
yeah, yeah, Renee.
to knowing that like you're creating a new identity. Now, people that think black and white, I'm a very big black and white thinker. So you kind of have to walk like a fine line of this to learn to give yourself grace. But maybe you're shedding one identity, but you're making a new one and you're evolving it, and then you're still yourself. You're
You
all
see
gonna
yourself.
it's
Yeah.
still gonna come together. You're just gonna have better habits. Yeah.
In my opinion, you're just an evolved person. You're able,
Mhm.
the best parts of you are able to show through in all the aspects of your life, family, career, just relationships, friends, just yourself, just your relationship with yourself. Everything is able to be amplified and shine through much more when you actually feel good and when you've actually been investing in yourself. Just a pure effect of that, knowing that you showed up and you did some things, whether you wanted to or not, that were good for you, that starts building who you are in that realm. And so we'll kind of dive into some of those things that we hold on to, that, the stories we tell ourselves about ourselves, and that's a massive aspect of all this. We got to learn how to overcome that stuff. And again, it's not just, we don't just snap our fingers or flip a switch and it happens. It's all worked on. That's why we talk about, not to go there already, but check-ins are so damn important. Communication's so important because it's just
Um,
like if you go to therapy, Renee will speak on that as well, as you got to keep showing up. And that's how you're going to have that actual evolution.
I heard this thing or I don't know, the other day. I've been on a podcast kick lately, which is really fun. But um if you're someone like the example they use, it's like if like the story you tell yourself about yourself, like if you're someone that's like, I don't go to the gym, I don't do this, or like repeatedly you tell yourself that every day, or like I'm tired. This person's idea when you're saying that, like if you're thinking I'm tired, you need to pair that with a positive change. So it's like, I'm tired and I'm recognizing that, but I'm going to go to bed earlier tonight. Instead of just saying, I'm tired, this sucks, and then thinking that again 5 hours later, pairing these things, and that's how you're going to change your identity too, is like pairing
Mhm.
healthier thoughts with that negative feeling, emotion, thought that you continue to tell yourself every day that just re-secures your identity. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. It's part of that is just being solution, oriented. Where I have
Hmm.
a problem, I'm tired right now. What? Why am I tired right now? Number one, and then
Hmm.
number two, how do I get out of this state? How do I show up tomorrow where I'm not as tired? And so it's just looking at those small little things we have control over so much, and people just, whether they don't want to take accountability and responsibility for those things, or they don't realize that we have that much control over it, but you definitely do. But yeah, those things you tell yourself, if you're somebody who tells yourself, we're going to kind of get into that. I know there's a slide in here about that, that we'll kind of chat on. But, if you tell yourself you're not somebody who likes the gym, well, guess what? You're never going to like. Every time you tell yourself that, you're just solidifying that further and further. I'm a person that doesn't like to work out, that doesn't like to go to the gym. Well, adopting the habit of getting to the gym, then you're making it way harder on yourself because you continue to solidify the same negative mindset around something that you know damn well is good for you. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, you don't have to be a power lifter, but resistance training is proven to benefit you for the rest of your life if you do it. That doesn't mean you have to love the gym, but it should be a part of your life, just like going to work is a part of your life. It's a need to get through the day, to get through the week, to be able to pay your bills and all that stuff. Well, to have a life that you can do the things you want to do, you got to be able to be physically active enough to be able to do that stuff. But so kind of back into those. So like I said before, it doesn't simply boil down to the X's and O's of, what we eat and how we work out. Of course, those are vital aspects, but we often uncover those mental blocks that are in, um, those changes are allowed then to become sustainable and permanent once we break through those mental blocks. For many people, their habits and behaviors are deeply tied to their self or their sense of self, right? So, someone who's always kind of like we were just saying, somebody who's always identified themselves as a person who hates exercise, who doesn't like to sweat. I just have such a bad sweet tooth and it's hard for me to beat those cravings. The night owl who can't wake up early, because you want to stay up late, but then, it's tough for you to get up and go to the gym or give yourself enough time to have breakfast in the morning, or maybe just to start your day not in pure survival mode, then being that first domino into a shitty day because you gave yourself no time to be just a person that morning and take care of you first. These people they're confronting the reality of changing themselves or who they believe themselves to be, and that's definitely intimidating. Any sort of change is scary. It's just you can train yourself to lean into that. I mean, that's what I've done over the last handful of years. I mean, the first 5 years of me running this business, the last thing I ever want to do is be on a podcast or talk on Zoom or I mean, shit, for the longest time, I didn't even do a consult call on the phone. Like there were just some things that I had hangups on, and then I just said, I know that this is going to benefit the people I'm serving. It's going to benefit myself if I lean into the things that scare me. But anyway, so that internal resistance, though, can create that pullback to old behaviors. Because if you're not really letting go of who you've always been to some extent in some of these areas that you know you need to improve, then you naturally just start kind of pulling back to those things. And not because they're necessarily even enjoyable or beneficial, but just because they're familiar, right? It's if you've lived a certain way for 30 years, it's hard to break out of that in just a month of working with a coach, right? That's why we don't offer 8-week programs or 4-week programs other than a challenge just to get somebody in the door, just to kind of help them. Normally we'll do around New Year's time and stuff of that nature. But outside of that, we don't offer short-term programs because they're not going to really benefit you in the long run because it takes time to evolve yourself in these ways. That comfort of consistency, even when it's unhealthy, can be a powerful force. And without, addressing this identity shift, people can fall into cycles of that change and relapse. And I mean, I'm sure everybody on this call, especially the older you are, you can definitely, agree with exactly that of this cycle you've been in, of never really fully stepping into the version of themselves that they're trying to create or that you're trying to create. Um,
This
yeah, Renee,
goes hand in hand with a quote I heard the other day. Again, I'm just going to be
look at
a
you.
little mega mind over here with these
Yeah.
podcasts. It said, every time you choose comfort over effort, you're choosing to settle. And
I'm
I was like, ooh, that's so true.
gonna get that tatted.
Dude, I know, right? I was like, that's a good one.
Yeah, it's true though, and
And it
and
goes hand in hand with like, yeah, what you're just
yeah.
saying.
Well, and honestly though, guys, like just that right there. Repeat that, Renee. That
Every
quote.
time you choose comfort over effort, you're choosing to settle.
So, if you're on this call right now, anytime like I don't always listen to podcasts at different points in my life. I've listened to them religiously, like daily, all that good stuff. But now when it's become more seldom, it's like I hear something and I'm like, I was meant to listen to this today because I was able to take it
Yes.
today. And so hopefully if you guys are on this call, like that quote right there, in my opinion, should stick with every single person here, right?
Mhm.
Because in this journey, regardless kind of if you're month 1 or you're month 10 or year 3 or whatever, as humans, part of our internal mechanisms, is homeostasis, right? Our body wants to regulate its temperature, it wants to regulate its metabolism, right? So that's why whenever we're cutting out food, your body down regulates metabolism and down regulates hormones because that's a survival piece of it, So internally, our body wants comfort and homeostasis and just normalcy and consistency, and we want that too. From a mental standpoint, comfort is peace in a lot of these ways, right? But if you came here to keep doing the same shit you've always done that's got you in the same spot that you want to get out of, you're going to stay stuck in that spot then. And this is not going to serve you well because you have to be open to, I got to get uncomfortable to grow. Right. And if I just keep searching for comfort, and a lot of times that means doing the same shit I've always been doing. You have discomfort in a lot of other areas, but just because you're not doing that stuff, there's more comfort in it. So recognize that, day to day, am I choosing this for just pure comfort? You know what I mean? Is this actually furthering me? Am I stepping into who I'm trying to become? The whole reason why I joined Thriving Lives in the very first place. So, the key to overcoming though, or of overcoming this is redefining identity before behavior becomes automatic. So instead of focusing on giving up, parts of yourself, you focus on who you're becoming. Small mindset shifts make a huge difference. So, the person who doesn't like movement, instead of constantly repeating to yourself anytime movement or exercise get brought up, instead of saying I hate exercise, said I'm becoming someone who enjoys movement, right? I am the kind of person who makes time for my health. I am learning to love nourishing foods, things that the convenience and comfort of eating, during this time of year. Girl Scout cookies, right? That's one of those things. But we all love Girl Scout cookies, but we need to start becoming the person who also loves nourishing our body because of how it makes it feel. And we know that that's an investment into ourself with it. So the moment that somebody starts to internalize these new beliefs about who they're becoming, and that's what affirmation is all about, right? So whenever we talk about writing down daily affirmations, while they seem forced and maybe even, fake, if you will, because that's not the person you are yet. But just like we said earlier, if you keep saying negative things to yourself, that's who you become. You're solidifying that. So if you start replacing that with positive things, you will become that person as well. So the moment that somebody starts internalizing these new beliefs, though, actions follow. It's not about faking it. It's about just stepping into a new role that aligns with the life that you want, that you came here for, and that you're in the process of achieving. So, from a coaching perspective with Thriving Lives, this means addressing, from Renee and I, our perspective, it means addressing, the emotional and physiological or psychological ties to a client's old self while helping you, gradually embrace the confidence of your new one. It's not just about discipline, it's about identity evolution, right? So that's really what we're trying to do here is constantly becoming this new person to some extent. Like Renee said, you're not losing all the great things about you. You are able to just enhance all those great things about you because you actually feel good. You actually have energy. You're actually confident on top of everything else. Renee, any thoughts on all that?
Um, no, I mean, I think we
Yeah. Anybody else? We have more to kind of go over, but I know I've just been kind of talking at you guys. Thanks, Renee, for stopping me at different points so I didn't just go on a tangent for 30 minutes. But hopefully, even if you don't have anything to say about it, hopefully some of this stuff is kind of sticking to you. So, part of this evolution and becoming the person who you envision. And again, we don't always know exactly who it is we're trying to become. But if we have at least a vague idea of the direction we want to move into, then some of these realizations happen along the way, right? So just knowing that you're on the right track to a healthier life, right? If you just look, the grand scheme of things, where do I want to be at when I'm 80 years old? Do I want to have a good quality of life, or do I want to not have a good quality of life? And then work backwards from there, right?
I
So,
think too, like when I started my whole like health journey, I had this like I didn't have a big like why. I didn't understand. Like I was trying to get healthier and like I knew I wanted to be healthier, but it's kind of funny. Like if I could look back and think that like, oh my gosh, this is the epitome of health that I'm like living, like I will feel good, I will feel confident. Like you don't know that until you're there. And so you kind of just have to, again, that's where discipline comes into. Like you just have to do it and then
trust
you'll
and
find
trust.
your why. You'll
Yeah.
find these things and it's like um they have to align. Like your what you're desiring has to go hand in hand with your discipline because the second that like you choose something that you're desiring, that takes over instead of the
Yep.
discipline, then you've now put more power in the desire than you have in the discipline.
Yep. That's a good point. Um, Yeah, so I mean, Renee, you have your kind of your identity evolution that you're still kind of going through. I mean, we're all going through that, right? Like I'm going through that just because I have some of these things kind of down pat. Like I'm still going through my own identity evolution. I went from being a competitive baseball player and that's all I knew to then having to shift that identity to I'm somebody who works out. I'm somebody who takes better care of their nutrition, things that baseball players aren't necessarily, that's not what their goal is necessarily. And then it was bodybuilding for years. And now I, I don't care about bodybuilding. I do want to keep bettering my physique, but I just want to have a healthy balance of fitness and nutrition, everything as the new role as a father that I'm in, and how that's going to evolve over the next handful of years. So though I don't want to compete at this point, at least no time soon, again, which used to be my why and it used to be my identity, instead now I know that showing up and staying disciplined with exercise is still serving me whether I want to step on stage again or not. Because I know that at the very minimum, I'm showing healthy behaviors for Lola, and it's going to allow me to be around and do the things I want to do for the rest of my life, ideally. Um, okay, so kind of on the next part here. So some of these are questions. So at the conference I was at this last week, we had a guy named John Miller come in, and he wrote this book in like the 90s, and he just goes around like these giant businesses and corporations, stuff like that. It's called QBQ, question behind the question. And right here on the main part of it, it says what to really ask yourself to eliminate blame, victim thinking, complaining, and procrastination. It's really just all about taking ownership of your day, your actions, your thoughts, how you're thinking, all the things we're kind of talking about. And once we can kind of make some of those mental shifts, then with that ownership and that accountability that you now have in your life, you're able to take better action, right? And so ask better questions is kind of what this next piece is. Renee, you want to kind of take this part for a little bit?
Yeah, so with personal accountability. What small step can I take today to move closer to my goal? How am I responsible for my current health and lifestyle? And I think that's a big one of you do have control, whether you want to think about like, oh, well, this happened to me. This is going out of hand. Like you have control over what you're choosing to do in your day. Everyone has the same 24 hours. So what you're choosing to do, what you're choosing to put your discipline into, you do have control over it.
And
Um,
what you're prioritizing is going
what you're prioritizing is
to
huge.
happen. If
Yeah.
you're prioritizing 2 hours of Netflix a night, well, there's 2 hours of your day right there. Those are 2 hours you could
Mhm.
have done a lot of other positive things. Not saying don't do Netflix. Like once we get off this, I got a show that I'm trying to watch as well. But I conquered everything else I needed to today. So I
Yeah. Um, and so, again, we just kind of talked about this, but instead of like blaming circumstances, what can I do differently? And then what is in control, what is in my control that I haven't fully taken ownership of yet? So again, if you're doing these things and you're not fully realizing like, hey, I could make these changes, um, then you're just doing yourself a disservice, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, and asking yourself these questions, so many people, I would say majority of people that are here and that come to TLF, they have this all or nothing mindset. And that's part of why they've stayed stuck in this cycle as well. When they're on, they're on, and when they're off, they're off. And this will help take steps in the right direction to eliminate some of that because again, it just boils down to what can I control? What things do I have control over, regardless of the circumstances? And sometimes just your own mindset. It's just your own voice in your head and the shit that you're telling yourself. And sometimes, like I said before, I can't control this elbow thing. Like it's hurt. My bicep is partially torn or whatever, but I can go to the chiropractor. I can go get, different treatments done on it to help kind of speed up the healing process. There's things I can do about it. Um, Good deal, Renee. Uh,
And I was gonna say something and I don't remember now. When you're doing these things, so like when you're trying to better your lifestyle, you're going to slip up. I think we talk about this often as well. Like you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to be perfect. And as someone, I'm a huge perfectionist, and so when I have my fitness and nutrition down pat. That's easy. That's no questions asked easy. But in other aspects of my life, like I'll do something and I'll then shame myself. I'm like, okay, why am I still doing this? I know better. And yeah, like I think I have to talk myself down and think like, okay, I'm not going to completely change 27 years of habits in one day, even in the strongest mindset, even in someone that is very disciplined. And so you have to give yourself grace, but you also have to know, okay, how long have I been giving myself grace for versus now am I just choosing that comfort over
yes,
effort?
yes, yes, yes. That discrepancy between knowing when to give myself grace and then eventually grace just turns into excuses and comfort
Yes.
and it's okay, well, you know what I mean, like with me having a daughter now that's 16, 17 months old. Like I gave myself grace last year in a lot of ways, and this year it's like, all right, dude, get your shit together. Like you can get more dialed in. I could have got more dialed in last year, but I gave myself grace, but that can't go into this next year. Can't give myself 2 years of grace in some of these areas at least. So one on here as well is, identity and mindset shift as well. So we have some segments and some questions kind of go with it. So who do I want to become and what habits align with that person? We already kind of talked about that a little bit earlier. And that's a common thing that we talk about a lot, but also what limiting beliefs am I holding on to that are keeping me stuck? So we've already kind of talked about some of these tonight. Just, I'm the type of person, I don't like exercise. I don't like sweating. I don't like going outside on walks. I don't like eating healthy food. I don't like eating veggies. Every time you say this shit to yourself, again, all it's doing is solidifying, and you're just holding on to all these things that we know that if you can start releasing these things and allow other positive things to replace those, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna be happier. A lot of these things that you're holding on to so much are really just holding you down, and you're not able to prosper like you could otherwise. And then also, how can I see myself as someone who prioritizes health and well-being? And really, again, a lot of this stuff is built into what we have built out for you. Your workouts, your nutrition, but most importantly, these Zoom calls. If you're here on the call tonight, then a lot of these things should be speaking to you. A lot of these things should hopefully be things you're like, I'm here for that exact reason. Because it's 7 p.m. and if you're on the East Coast, like I know Eric is, it's 8 p.m. It's almost 9 o'clock right now, and you're on this call instead of doing whatever else that you could be doing. So kudos to you for being here for that. Um, but so what are those actions that I can do to continue becoming this person who prioritizes the things that you want to do, long term? Um, Next one that we have on here is overcoming obstacles in particular. Renee, you want to take that one?
Yes, this is kind of what I was talking about with the like grace versus
Oh yeah, yeah.
effort. Um what and not allowing yourself to think that you have to be perfect in every sense. What can I learn from past attempts at change rather than seeing them as failures? Which I think is big because you don't want to just continually think like, oh well, I failed once today. And I actually said this to one of my clients once and it really stuck with her, which was cool. Um, would you rather fail, like if you fail once in your mind a day, just because you failed that once, now are you going to continue to have 10 fails the rest of the day? Like because you had one slice of cake, oh, I might as well eat the entire thing.
And then,
Or I
then
saw
start
this thing
over
on
tomorrow or
Instagram,
start
like
over next.
you get like a little stain on your shirt. Okay, are you going to now take a pen to the entire shirt because you got one little stain on it? No.
Or rip
You're
it off and throw it away. That makes no sense.
Right. You're going to overcome these things, but you have to be able to look past that. And in the moment, that little stain is really big to you. And that's fair. And it should be big to you because you want to hold yourself to these higher standards. If you got that little stain and you didn't care, then you don't really actually want to change.
Sure.
So noticing you have a failure is good because it means you're trying to grow. Um, and so the next thing would be how can I prepare for moments when I feel unmotivated or tempted to give up? And discipline and to answer, I mean, you'll
Yeah.
ask yourself that question, but the answer to that question should be discipline. You just have to do it. Like, um,
It should be discipline. I think another thing that can help eliminate that as well is plan your week ahead. And what I mean by that is
Mhm.
if you live by a calendar, as most people do to some extent, you're not missing appointments. If you have a Zoom call for business at 3 p.m. on Thursday, guess where you're going to be at 3 p.m. on Thursday? You're going to be at that business call or whatever it is. If you have a doctor's appointment, you're probably showing up on time and you're pissed off because you're like, I'm on time. Why is the doctor not on time? Right? You're doing those things. So with the workouts, if you have it
Schedule it
worked
into
out,
your calendar.
yeah, you
Hmm.
you you have it scheduled. You've carved out the time that you know that nothing else. If I have friends that say, "Hey, can we get together?" or whatever, not at this time because I got this going on. Now, if you can move it around, then cool. But it should still be a priority with it.
But the thing is, I think people often think, "Oh yeah, I can move this around today. I want these plans."
Yes,
Now,
that's true.
again, it depends on your priorities and what you're prioritizing. Whereas, like right now, my gym schedule is every day after work,
It is, yeah.
or I mean, most days after work. Thursdays I do coaching work, but
Mhm.
that is my time. So from 4:30 to 6 p.m.,
Yep.
that's my time. So if someone wants to do dinner, great, I can do it afterwards. Or if someone wants to do this, I can do it afterwards. But I'm not moving things around unless I have another spot. So like on Fridays, if a friend wants to do happy hour, great, cool. Fridays I have more flexibility, so I can move my
Workout time.
4 p.m. workout on Friday. I can move it to 11 a.m.
Yeah.
But if my Friday 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 was full, then I'm not going to choose to skip the gym because I have that in my calendar and that is my priority. So you have
Yeah.
to schedule these things in your calendar that and then listen to it and not just play Tetris and move it all around and then it's just getting shoved and
Yeah.
not happening.
Yeah. And well said on that because you're right. I was kind of given a little more grace and honesty in that situation. If this is a priority, then it's a priority to you.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right on that. Some other things too is like, hey, if you got to get up and go to the gym tomorrow morning, like you want to make that as frictionless as possible. So you need to have your shit laid out for the
Mhm.
day the night before. So if you got to get up at 5:30 and that's the time you have pinned in and penciled in that you're going to go work out, have your gym clothes ready. If you got to go straight to work after that, have your meals ready in the fridge where you can grab and go and take and put in your cooler, whatever it is your system of doing that is. If you got to take work clothes with you, have that shit done because if you wake up to that 5:30 a.m. alarm and you haven't done any of that stuff and you only have so much time that you can get all this stuff done before work, well, now once you start looking at it, you're probably going to say, I'm not prepared, so I'm just going to hit the snooze alarm and I'll
Mhm.
try again tomorrow. You're not doing the little bit of lead up to making those goals and intentions actually feasible and successful because you did no pre-planning leading up to that point. And then some other things you can do as well is I have people do this every now and then. When they're feeling unmotivated, they will shoot me a text. Hey, I'm not really feeling the gym today. You have a coach. Can I promise I'm going to see that text and be able to respond within 5 minutes? Maybe when you need it, maybe not. But maybe just the act of sending that text is enough for you to be like, "Fuck, I need to go do this." We have the accountability groups in the group. I'm sure if you posted, you know, in their group and said, "Hey, I'm not really feeling the gym today. Should I go?" I'm not saying you should do this, but if you did do this, I'm sure people would be like, "Yeah, go to the gym." Right? You have the
I had a client text me yesterday. She was like, "Really?" Or I'll just let me read the messages. She said, dreading this leg workout. And I said, get it done, sis. And she said, I know I'll feel so much better once I do. And I said, doing it when you don't want to is how you build discipline. And that's one of the most important aspects. So it's almost like when you don't want to go to the gym, that is hands down probably
most
the
times.
absolute best time to go to the gym because now you're going to build trust in yourself. You're going to build confidence, build that self-efficacy that you're showing up for yourself and doing it. Like today, I just like wasn't feeling it during my leg workout. I don't know why. And I was like, maybe like last time I did um 20 on each side for my reverse lunges. And I was like, maybe I'll just put a 10 on today. Like I'm not really like feeling it. And I was like, dude, no, why? I'm here. I'm
Here.
gonna do it. I'm gonna put both 10s on each or 20s on each side
Yeah.
and get it done because I'm here. So
Yeah.
why would I
Shortchange yourself.
yeah, shortchange myself when I have no true reason why other than, okay, if I didn't prioritize this last night. So don't let all of your like shortcomings lead to another shortcoming. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
Yeah. Because momentum and
how
that,
many excuses can you give yourself to where you're just not?
yeah, and negative momentum works just like positive momentum, except it happens a whole lot faster. It doesn't take as much effort from negative momentum to rapidly catch, momentum and fire with it. It's that domino effect. The negative ones always fall over way easier than the positive ones do. But and then in the next kind of one on that is what support systems or strategies will help me stay on track. I mean, we've already kind of given you guys quite a few of those things, but again, you use your coach with it, right? Show up to these Zoom calls because that helps. It's one more little added layer of support, of accountability, of maybe eye opening that you might need midweek, whatever the case is. Um, so use those things that you have at your disposal. And that's also where it's also like, hey, communicate to your friends and family, like the people that you're close to, you see a lot, maybe your coworkers, maybe you share a desk with somebody at work or nearby, having that extra layer of accountability where like that you communicated your goals, what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it's important. Hey, can you hold me, accountable when I leave work today to go to the gym like I plan on doing? Maybe just having that one friend that gives a shit about you that says, hey, you going to the gym after work like you said you were going to? Maybe that's all you need to show up and make it happen.
And I think in time too, like if you're sometimes I think if you're asking for help, you already know what you need to be doing. You just need that extra like reassurance from someone else. And at some point, you'll learn to find that reassurance within yourself.
Yep. Yep. But if that means just like your person did, Renee, where they said dreading this leg workout, but then she also followed up with already improving her mindset around that leg workout. But I know I'm going to feel much better once I get it done because I always,
100%.
right? So
Because
you
she's
could have had that.
had
Yes.
these last 4 weeks or whatever where she hasn't wanted to work out and then she has. And so now she's connected in her mind of, okay, well, these last few weeks I didn't want to work out either and I felt better afterwards. But if every time she had said, I don't want to do this workout, she wouldn't have built up that mindset hack
Yep.
there. Like maybe she still doesn't want to do it. Cool.
Yeah.
But she knows in the back of her mind that it will make her feel better and she will be proud of herself. But it
Yeah.
just takes conscious like repetitions. It's
Yeah. It does.
repetitions over everything.
It does. And the repetitions of just outwardly saying to you or to herself or to somebody nearby that I know I'm going to feel better after this workout, though, it again, just like the negative comments do, that's a positive comment right there that continues to solidify that. And it's just one more rep at that solidification. think that's a word. Okay, so kind of next one on here, long-term success and growth. So how can I make this journey enjoyable rather than a struggle? Right. So some of that it's not going to happen right off the bat, right? Like if we can make certain things enjoyable, fantastic. If you can learn how to meal prep things that you enjoy a little bit more of, fantastic. Different seasonings and sauces on hand to make that food a little more, something that you look forward to, whatever. But
But not everything will be enjoyable. Like
not
I
every,
hate meal prep.
yeah.
I love grocery shopping. I love
Yes.
going to Whole Foods. I've romanticized it.
Yeah.
Now, if you put me in a high V, I'm not going to love it. But Whole Foods, I love it. It's my jam. I love going grocery shopping, but I don't like meal prep. I dread it
Yeah.
every single Sunday. But to follow up with that, the next thing is what would my future self thank me for doing this today? And every single time I'm going to need my meals throughout the week. I'm going to need my lunches. And so I have to do this today. I don't enjoy it, but I have to do it.
Yep.
Whereas like Marcus and I, we love the gym. So yes, we enjoy it, but not everyone will. But
And
you,
honestly, I mean,
and some
like
people
you
may
just
like meal
said,
prep. Like you
yeah.
just,
And honestly, sometimes I do dread going to the gym at various
same.
times in
Hmm.
seasons of life or moments in life and days in life and stuff of that nature. But
Sure.
I'm like, if I had it planned out, unless I have a physical ailment that is only going to dig a hole deeper by going and forcing it. If you're sick, don't go to the gym. That's only going to make it worse. If you just got a little bit of head cold, hey, you can go push through that. But if you're actually physically sick, yeah, don't beat yourself up for not going to the gym. But again, though, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of these aspects. Like, I don't love chia seeds and psyllium husk. Like, it's not like it makes protein shakes all that much better, but there's a need in there. I'm getting my fiber in a very efficient and easy way, so it's like, yeah, that's just one of those things. It's a habit that I've just tossed in, and I'm like, it keeps my digestion on point, and that's why I do it. So some of these things that not all this is going to be enjoyable, but what is enjoyable, like with the chia seeds or psyllium husk, using that example is, hey, I'm able to have healthy bowel movements tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I'm not getting backed up. I'm not having constant bloat and digestive trouble that then is a compound or a compound effect and a domino effect into other issues that happen at that point.
Now
I'm
you're tired.
sleeping.
Now energy levels aren't good. Now you're in a
That's all.
bad mood.
Now I really don't want to go to the gym because I'm tired. I don't feel good. All these things, right? And all that stemmed from was, hey, dude, you didn't get your fucking fiber in the other day. Like, and that became a domino effect because you stopped doing that because you didn't love the taste of it. Well, guess what? Not everything you eat has to be a pure love. That's the reason why America's so damn unhealthy because everything has to be this love and this efficiency thing. Like, I can just go to McDonald's because it's right there and it takes 3 minutes. Like, some of this shit, it's not like that. That's not what health is. It's not the most
Like
efficient, fast
you
thing.
don't love changing diapers for your newborn kid, but you have to fucking
Exactly.
do it.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
so
So
there's
some
things in life you have to do.
Yeah, and that also is a health thing, right? Because if I didn't do that, she's gonna end with UTIs and all and diaper rash and all these issues. And it's like, what are we doing? Well, on a smaller scale and a much more delayed scale, if you're not doing these right things for you, eventually it catches up with you, right? It's not gonna be a immediate diaper rash because you didn't change your diaper. It's gonna be something that happens maybe a month from now, maybe a year from now, or maybe 10 years from now, but it could be, mediated and mitigated just with some simple adjustments elsewhere. But how another thing with long-term success and growth, how can I reframe setbacks as learning experiences instead of proof of failure? Perfect example of this. Patrick Mahomes just lost the Super Bowl. He threw two interceptions, played the worst game of his entire life, I would say. Um, there is so much more that they can learn from that Super Bowl loss than they could in a Super Bowl win. Any sort of loss that you have in life in any aspect, there's so much to learn from those losses than there are even from the wins. And so that's again the reason why we always reiterate the importance of your check-ins, especially after the worst weeks, because those are the weeks that we can grow the most from. We can realize, oh, you didn't eat well this week. Oh, because you didn't go grocery shopping and you didn't meal prep or whatever the case is, right? Or maybe your meal prep system sucks and it's taking you 6 hours every single Sunday to do it, and it's not very efficient for you. No wonder why you can't stick to it. I couldn't stick to that either because that takes too damn long. So maybe the issue here is your method of doing it. We just need to tweak that. Well, if you didn't
Kind
check
of
in,
have
we
to
can't have that conversation.
you have to let yourself fail a little bit. And this is something too that I've learned in therapy of like if I'm in therapy, I'm isolating myself, I'm just focusing on like my own mental health and things like that. I'm not really applying these things that I'm learning. So now the second I've learned these things, sure, but Now when I go out into the real world and I'm applying these things, I'm going to fail. But I have to fail to learn. Or else, like I said, what's the point of me just never, never challenging myself in what I need to be
Yep.
challenged in?
Yep. 100%. And then lastly on that one is what kind of person maintains this change for life and how can I start embodying that now? And again, that's just thinking long term more than anything else, which again, you don't necessarily have to have your big why always, and that ebbs and flows, and that's going to change and evolve over time with it anyway. Um, but I think it's safe to say we all want to feel better as we age. As life gets harder, we want to be in a way that we can live and do the things we want to do. So the bare minimum being fit and being healthy only supports that further. So that's your why at this moment on the days you don't want to do it. That's why that person that you're becoming is able to maintain this stuff for life because that will never change that you want to be able to live the life that you want to live regardless of your age. Um, Next, we got two more little slides, guys, that we're kind of diving into and talking about, and then we will let you guys go for the night. Obviously, stick around at the end if you have any questions or anything you want to address. But lastly, though, so emotional and deeper motivation. Um, why do I really want to make this change? I just kind of gave you one of those things, but not just the simple, just to lose weight or be healthier, but the core emotional reason. Now, the easier thing for this is if we went person by person and ask, what is your why? And I ask why that is important to you five more times, and we get deeper and deeper and deeper into the actual really root core of the reason. But being able to ask yourself that, what is the actual emotional reason that losing weight will make you feel better, will enhance your life? And continue to ask yourself that why question and get deeper and deeper to what is that actual core reason as to why it is that you want to do it. And what will my life look like if I don't make this change, right? So if you never joined us, if you stay on the trajectory that you used to, if you quit right now and went back to the old ways of doing life like you used to, what does that look like? For some, maybe it's nothing, maybe it's not disease, right? Maybe it's just I just never really had that kind of confidence, right? Maybe I never found out what it was like to actually have muscles and be strong and the power and the empowerment that comes from that. But other people, well, shit, I mean, it's a premature death, right? Or it is disease, or it is these other things that are very negative, right? So that's a huge question. Maybe you don't know your why, but you know your why not, right? The thing I really don't want to happen is what's kind of, steering you. And then also, how will this is kind of one of the things that we said originally, right? You're not this identity evolution is not about losing everything that makes you who you are. It's about doing the things that amplify who that is, right? So, how will your relationships, your confidence, and your overall happiness improve if you stay committed? Guys, anybody who's ever really gotten serious with their health and made big strides, every area of your life will improve.
100%.
So again, like, there's plenty of reasons why, and there's plenty of reasons why not. Maybe you got to make those lists during the times that you're really struggling. When you're really not motivated, maybe you're just not aware of these things. Maybe you haven't been asked these questions recently enough, right? So maybe come back to exactly this presentation, this call that we're doing right now, and listen back to it. Or again, ask your coach, ask me or Renee, and we can always, facilitate this conversation a little bit more. And then, lastly, kind of our last little note here is by shifting from why is this so hard to what can I do today to make progress? This is all about taking better ownership of your life, of your transformation, of why you're here. When you can start taking ownership and what got you here and how we're going to get out of this or how we're going to, keep you on a better trend, once you take ownership and accountability of those things, like all this becomes a lot easier. But if you keep asking the why me and kind of back to that you know the blame and the victim thinking and stuff of that nature, once you can get rid of that shit and start really getting down to the ownership and the accountability of it, you realize really quick everything is within your control, and that's uncomfortable, right? Because you can't shift blame to anybody else but yourself. That doesn't mean beat yourself up. That just means own it. And now, what are the things that I can do today and tomorrow and moving forward that are going to get me unstuck in a better spot, happier, healthier, whatever your goal is. Anybody have any thoughts, questions? Thanks for sticking around. Sorry, this was 55 minutes, it looks like. But I appreciate you guys sticking around. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Thoughts, questions? about this, about something else? Renee, you got anything else?
No, I don't.
Well, guys, if you have follow-up questions after this, definitely shoot us text and stuff about it. Otherwise, though, we will see you guys in a few weeks. I think we'll be able to. We try to do these obviously, the first Wednesday of each month. The last couple Wednesday or last couple months been a little bit skewed. Hopefully, we can kind of get back on track on that anyway. But otherwise, though, I don't have anything else for you. So hopefully, like I said, you guys have some good takeaways from this. Um, and yeah, get your check-ins done, and we'll go from there, all right? Keep evolving, friends. Renee, I'll see you later. Everybody else, I will see you
Perfect.
guys later as well. Thanks for your time tonight.